This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel Strat-O-Matic Baseball XL Game of the Week.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1979-82 Fall League American League Championship Series in the American League. A series that's tied a game apiece between the Expos and the Angels. Expos won Game 1 and they rallied in Game 2 and then blew it in extra innings. And the Angels have tied this thing up, and hey, now it's about the Angels story as the Expos lose home field. The Angels are a team in their third consecutive league championship series, lost to Baltimore 2 years ago. Baltimore went on to the World Series win. Lost the World Series to the Dodgers and are back in the league championship for the third year in a row. Interesting story about the Angels in the league championship series is, in 79, they lost to Baltimore, who lost the World Series. 82, they lost to Milwaukee, who lost the World Series. 86, they lost to Boston, who lost the World Series. Here, it's just the opposite. The Angels' season ends against the eventual world champs, right? They lost to Baltimore in my recreation 2 years ago. They went on to win it all. And they lost the World Series to the Dodgers in the World Series, winning it all. So that portends well for the Expos, if you believe in that sort of stuff. We have a Game 3 in Anaheim, and we are after a day off and a couple games. We're back to the aces. Steve Rogers and Nolan Ryan pitched the final games of the divisional round against the Yankees and Brewers, respectively, and they're back for a Game 3 tilt in Anaheim, the aces. Steve Rogers, let's give you his stats. I haven't been giving you stats, I've noticed, in the last few games, which is a shame. We'll probably see him again the second time. Long series. Steve Rogers, 16-11, 298 ERA, and 281 innings. And for Nolan Ryan, in 79, probably his second best year in Anaheim, after his brilliant 72 when he arrived, 16-14, 359 ERA, 223 innings. Steve Rogers and Nolan Ryan can't get any better than this in the American League. The aces of the top two teams, at least by seed, in my little league here, are going at it with a series tied a game apiece. Here we go. Leading off for the Expos, it is Tim Raines. 47, that's a strikeout. Brian Little, 63, short X. Today's shortstop is Bill Almon, a 327, makes the play. And Dondre Awesome, 36, is a K. Bottom of one, it's Don Baylor in the leadoff spot, 6'10", center X. This is Dawson in center. He is a 1E11. No error there. Bob Molinaro, 64, third X. This is Larry Parrish, 2E25, and that's an error. Testing some defense today. A stealer, but you got Gary Carter, -3 arm. The Angels are going to be patient. Ron Jackson, the hero of Game 2, with 3 hits and a extra inning home run. Ron Jackson, 6'10", is center X. They're going to test him again in center. And this time he fails the test. Andre Dawson, his E rating is still plugged in there. Center field. You see the 2E2 there. It's a two-base error. You got runners at second and third, and maybe a little stage fright for these Expos here early on. Larry Parrish and Andre Dawson, two of their best defensive players. It'll be Bobby Grich. 2-6. Is a grounded to third. Infield, actually, infield's up because he's an A bunter. It doesn't matter. It's a grounded to third. Runners are going to hold out at first base. So it's going to be 2 outs for number 5 hitter, Biff Pocoroba. 56 for Biff is a sky to right field. So the Expos making some errors. We saw errors by Dan Norman in Game 2 that led to a couple runs. 2 more errors here. Expos got to settle down on their defense a little bit. In the top of the second inning, we go. Al Oliver. 68 is a walk. Larry Parrish, 1-9 is a 6-4-3 double play. Gary Carter, 34, pops to third. Maybe we're going to start flipping these guys, Carter and Parrish, in the lineup a little bit. They're both slumping. Doug DeCinces, 2-10, flies left. Dan Ford, 4-9, second C. And Blackwell, 1-6 is a K. Top of the third. Warren Cromartie, 5-10 is a walk for the C Steeler. Doug Flynn's going to do a little hit and run action here. And it is a 9. That is the fielder's choice. So Flynn's at first now. For Stevie, Ray Braun, 37 is a walk. 2 on, 1 out, 10 purple Rains. 2-4, oh my goodness. It is a 1-6-3 double play for the fastest guy on the planet, Tim Raines. Not a good look for the Spos early. Bottom of the third, it's Bill Almone. 1-7 is a K. The Groove, Don Baylor, 2-3, pop to third. Molinaro, 44, lines to third. You go to the fourth. Ryan Little, 4-4, second X. This is Bobby Grich at 2E14. Makes the play. Andre Dawson, 1-7. Let's take a look at Andre Dawson's card. I haven't seen it yet. 1981, Andre Dawson, 24 homers and a 302 average, a ton of stolen bases, ton of doubles. In the year of the strike, a little high on that E rating, but otherwise, because he made that error. Otherwise, brilliant year for Andre in Montreal. 1-7, homer 1, double the rest. Al Oliver, 67 is single 1-3. That's a line out. And with 2 outs, Larry Parrish. 39 is a fly ball to left. Yeah, you know what? I really got to flip Carter and Parrish, and Carter would be 2 for 2 at this point. So maybe think about that for next game. Bottom of the fourth, Ron Jackson. 1-5. Ron Jackson, the same role he had in the extra inning win. Let's take a look at the card then. So let me show you what Ron did to even this series up in game 2. Against the lefty Rudy May, he rolled 310 against the lefty. And there's a single chance down there because Ron hit 331. He probably hits 360 versus lefties. And against the righty reliever, Elias Sosa, he rolled a 1-5, which is what he just now rolled. Homer 1-7, double the rest. Well, look up. Homer 1-7 is a 17, so it's going to be a double. Ron Jackson. Right now, he is your Angel MVP, right? Bobby Grich. 2-9, grounds short. Biff Pocoroba, 6'10", center X. This is Dondre Austin. It's an error or an out, and it's an out. And with 2 outs, it's Doug DeCinces. 32 grounds are short, so the Angels have been grounded most of this series. Extra inning homer and defensive miscues aside by the Expos in game 2. We go to the 5th. Gary Carter, 67, single 1-6 off of Ryan, lines out. Cromartie, 411, first X. This is Ron Jackson, a 3E9 first baseman. He makes the play. And Doug Flynn, 410, short X. This is Bill Almone, a 3E27 shortstop. He makes the play. We're seeing Nolan Ryan use his defense. He only has struck out a couple guys in the first and none since. But he's got 5 shutout innings. That's what the Angels want. It's a real shame they're going to lose him to the Astros this offseason. But that's what happens after 1979. Scoreless again, folks. Were you tuned in yesterday? We took a scoreless game into the bottom of the 5th in game 1. We're doing it again in Anaheim. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Bottom of the 5th. Here it is. Dan Ford. 3-7, single 1-5. Can't buy a hit. Lines out on 14. Tim Blackwell, 211, rolls to first. And Bill Almone, 2-9, grounds to short. Angels have just one more batter through 5 innings. Ryan with a 1-hitter. And Rogers, also with a one-hitter. Top of the 6th, it's Stevie Ray Braun. 46 is a strikeout. Tim Purple Reigns, 68 is ball 4. And here we go, folks. First battle for Blackwell Reigns. Reigns is taken off. He isn't really concerned with catcher's throwing arms too much. That's a stolen base for the AAA Steeler. Now he is at second with 1 out. We have seen him steal third quite a bit. We got a scoreless game. I just don't like to do it against a -2 arm catcher. 0 or worse, I'd be taking off at third. I ain't gonna lie. Well, we got some hitters coming up, so we'll leave him at second base with 1 out. And plus, we're not ahead in the series anyway. Brian Little. 1-4 is a sky to center field, and with 2 outs, it's Dondre Awesome. Dondre comes through again with that same roll. Homer 1, double the rest, rolls the 8, picks up the double and the run. Expos 1-0 lead. Now it's the batting champ, Al Oliver, the runner at second against Nolan Ryan. Here's the pitch. 39, that's a walk. Set the table nicely for Larry Parrish, in a bit of a slump here, in the league championship. Did a great job in the divisional round, had a walk-off homer against the Yankees in one of those games. Pitch to Larry Parrish. 2-10, and let's take a look at Larry Parrish's card. He comes through in a big way here. Larry Parrish, big year of 79, 30 homers. How about 39 doubles out of your third baseman as well with a 307 average? About the only thing he isn't is a 1 at third base. I don't think he ever was, but he's still excellent defensively, 225. 210 is a single to center field, and here comes Dawson. He's a 17, 18, 19 against the -1 arm of Dan Ford, and he will score. Oliver ends up at third on the throw. We got runners on the corners with 2 outs, and Gary Carter at the plate. 63, comebacker to the mound, but Nolan Ryan's an E26. You can't be kicking this around, Nolan. And he makes the play. The way you score this for the home team. Ryan's an E26. It's set up for the E27 result in parentheses as an out, so it is an out for the 26. Good break there for the Angels. It stays just 2-zip. Expos strand a couple. Will this be enough for Steve Rogers, who pitched so brilliantly against the Yankees in the Game 5 win in the divisional round? It'll be the top of the lineup. It'll be Don Baylor leading off. 33 pops to third. Bob Molinaro, 1-5, grounds to second. And Ron Jackson, 69. This is triple on a 3-base hit. Another hit for Ron Jackson, who has 2 of them today. Number 4 hitter and tie run, Bobby Grich. 1-6 is a sky to center field for Grich. Scoreless for the Angels. 2 out of 3 games through 6 frames have not scored in games 1 or 3. Top of the 7th for Ryan. Both these guys are starter 8s. As it turns out, none of the starting pitchers in any of the series, including Steve Carlton in the National League for the Phillies, can pitch in extra innings. I don't have any starter 9s. I don't know where they went, folks. All the starter 9s are gone. Perhaps that's something linked to the early 1970s with your Wilbur Woods and your Jim Palmers and Cuellars and Tom Seavers and guys like that. There aren't any. No starter 9s in these decks of cards. So you're not going to see a 10-inning start for anybody the rest of the way. Top of the 7th, it'll be Warren Cromartie leading off. 57 is a walk. Ooh, hate to have a walk on 7. That's what Ryan has. Maybe that's why they're thinking it's time to trade him to the Astros. Doug Flynn, good hit and run guy. He blew it earlier. He's going to try it again, though. Runner has to steal on a 7. This is going to be close. So Cromartie is not being held. I don't hold the C's. So it's an 11. You got a -2 arm for Blackwell. Makes it a 9. 13 is rolled. He's going to be out anyway. Need to be a +2 arm catcher for that to be safe. Flynn, swinging through that. Guy get cut down stealing. Now Flynn has to swing away. 38 is a liner to first. And Stevie Ray Braun. 1-7's a strikeout. He'll leave the game. Mick Kelleher will take over at shortstop. So they got some defense in there. In a 2-0 game to support Steve Rogers. Bottom of the 7th. Stretch time. Here in California, in a 2-0 game, we have been enjoying listening to Fleetwood Mac's music for a cold, drizzly, rainy winter day. Bare Trees in their Bob Welch, Danny Kerwin era. Great stuff here. Sentimental Lady, first version, performed by Bob Welch. Spare Me a Little of Your Love, Christy McVie sings that one. Child of Mine, and this one, Sunny Side of Heaven. Probably one of the best of the early pre-Lindsay, Stevie, Fleetwood Mac LPs of 1972. Bare Trees. Back to the game. Bottom of the 7th, 2-0. Can Steve Rogers continue his mastery? He pitched a complete game victory over the Yankees. He is into the 7th today. Sosa pitched 2 innings yesterday and lost. So I'll watch his usage here. Rest of the bullpen is well rested. So it'll be Biff Pocoroba leading off. The Biffer, 1-5, skies to center field. Doug DeCinces, he's in a slump. 1-9's a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Dan Ford. 1-7, let's take a look at Disco. Dan Ford, as he's called. 1979, 21 homers, a .290 average on that amazing California offense. What's really been cool in the 4 years we've been using this 79 card is we have pushed him into center field where he is still a 2. Normally, though, Dan Ford's probably in right field most of the time. But the Angels don't have a center fielder. So they've been pushing Dan Ford there and getting away with it, as we like to say. 1-7 for Dan Ford. Homer, 1-14. He rolls in 11. It's gone. We have a 2-1 game. Now you got number 8 hitter, Tim Blackwell. 3-6 is a walk. Can't break riders in this frame. Love to get the last batter out so as not to face the RBI threat of Don Baylor. Here's the pitch to Bill Almone. 43 for Rogers' first X, but you've got Al Oliver over there, a 4.20. They thought of replacing him with Rich Murray defensively. They didn't. But he gets an out. Check this out. E20 first baseman, GBA on the defense. Boy, that's a lucky roll. That's a very high percentage of getting out that was rolled. Low percentages lead to errors. Speaking of that, 82.64%. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So that is an ending ground out. And it stays 2-1. Into the 8th. What a fantastic game between Ryan and Rogers. Dawson missed a couple home runs, had to settle for doubles. Dan Ford did not. It's 2-1. Into the 8th. Top of the lineup. Tim Raines has walked and scored and stole a base today. Here's the pitch. 57. Oh, Nolan Ryan can't do that. Can't walk him. Can't make it that easy. Raines is taken off. And he's going to be safe on an 8. Brian Little. He will swing away. 57. Another walk. And this is the Ryan that we worried about. That's the 5th walk in the last 3 frames in a 2-1 game. Where do you go from here? One more base runner will break him. And you've got the meat of the lineup. It's been Dawson, Oliver, Parrish, Carter, Cromartie all year long in 3 through 7. They've mixed up the number 2 hitter, the numbers 8 and 9 hitters throughout the year, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all year long in those spots. Righty, lefty, righty, righty, lefty for Nolan Ryan with 2-1 and nobody out. By the way, Brian Little's a good base runner. We'll leave him there. Okay. Dawson, what a day he's had. Struck out, but in 2 doubles on rolling 1-7 homer chances. Here's the pitch to Andre Dawson. 38 for Dawson is a short B. So you get a fielder's choice. The fastest guys are on the bags, though. Raines is at 3rd. Dawson's at 1st. There's 1 out. Have to bring the infield up, in this case, against the 1982 batting champ, Al Oliver. Not a lot you can do in this situation. You're certainly going to live and die with Nolan Ryan here versus the bullpen that you can't rely on, and the fact that Mark Clear went 2 2/3 innings in Game 2. So here's the pitch to Al Oliver. 2, 7, and guess what, folks? It always seems to happen. The infield is up, you roll the plus. Boy, I tell you, this series, you left Dave Frost in there, you hit his point of weakness dot. You bring the infield up, you roll the plus. You had Baumgarten throw to Rich Murray, he hits the home run. So some incredible breaks for the Expos in this series as they take a 3-1 lead with still one out, runners in the corners. Oh, by the way, Nolan Ryan's at his point of weakness. Larry Parrish, Gary Carter, Warren Cromartie. I know what you're thinking, folks. A strikeout would look really good in this situation with a guy at third. And who strikes out batters? Nolan Ryan. Do we ignore the dots on his card and have him go to another batter? Yep, we do it. Look, you can't keep getting these point of weakness dots. You got one off of Frost. You shouldn't get one here off of Ryan. So Larry Parrish and Nolan Ryan are going to battle. Ryan is clearly fatigued. Dawson's at third. Oliver is at first. They are going to keep the infield up. See what happens with Parrish and then figure out what to do with 2 outs with Carter. So here's the pitch to Larry Parrish. 67. This is a single chance. It's single. 1-6. He gets a 5. Not a lot you can do there. It's a clean single 1-6 chance on the Ryan card. That is a single. That scores Dawson. We got first and second with 1 out, and now we're going to call it a day there. 7 1/3 innings. We tried to make a play. You don't have a runner on third base anymore, so you don't need to strike out so much with 1 out. So you have first and second in what is now a 4-1 game. Is just getting away from the Angels a little bit. And you need somebody to get Gary Carter and Cromartie out. Let's go to this guy, Dan Boone. Seldom pitches with the lead for the Angels. He's 1-0 with a 2.86 ERA in 63 innings. Was picked up as the lefty setup guy. Ouch. Way too many doubles on his card, but that's okay. The problem is the Angels have been drafting around 31, 30, 32, and they just can't find a lot of guys, and so their roster is getting weaker and weaker. The nucleus is fantastic, but when you're signing the Tim Flannerys and the Paul Mitchells and the Danny Boones and the Biff Pocarobas in free agency, it's going to start to show up when you get into the League Championship Series and you've got the height of their power Expos doing battle with you. Dan Boone comes on in the 8th. First and second, 1 out against Gary Carter. And here is the pitch, playing back. 56 for Boone is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Warren Cromartie. 47, another strikeout for Dan Boone. Strikes a couple guys out. We still got a ball game. It's 4-1. Steve Rogers has a decent lead, of course. Now the Expos are going to put some first base insurance in there. Rich Murray will come in for Brian Little as a 2 first baseman instead of Oliver's 4. 6 outs to get, 3-run lead. Sosa can go about an inning. Everybody else can pitch however long they want to. Rogers will continue. It is his breaking inning. With a 3-run lead, Steve Rogers cannot lose this game. In the bottom of the 8th, here we go. The pitch to Don Baylor. 1-7 for Baylor is double 1-12, base hit. Now you got Bob Molinaro. 45, second X. This is Doug Flynn. Hey, championship defense. A 1-8 second baseman. Pretty much have no shot here. And it's not a shot, it's a double play. So, hey folks, it's not Larry Boa, it isn't Bud Harrelson, and it's not Mark Belanger, but a Doug Flynn 1-8 second baseman will really help a team like the Expos close out games in that result. That's not 2 on and sending the tie run to the plate. It's 4 outs remaining and reclaiming home field advantage for the Expos. So that's how important shortstop and second base defense is. Now you got to deal with Ron Jackson, who is on fire with 5 hits in his last 2 games. Pitch to Ron Jackson. 38 is a fly ball to left field. We'll go to the 9th. We will continue with Dan Boone, as Doug Flynn doesn't hit lefties particularly well. 64, but he hits the Boone card. Homer 1-4, doubles, a 2-base hit. Number 9 hitter Mick Kelleher, in for defense for Braun, a bunter, will bunt the guy to third as an A bunter. Mick Kelleher, the bunt, is an 8, barely good. So Flynn is at third with 1 out. Angels have to bring it up. We're back up top to Tim Purple Reigns. Not as good against lefties as he is versus righties. Here's the pitch. 2-9 for Reigns is a walk. Now you got on the corner, still up and holding. Reigns won't attempt to steal with a 3-run lead and trying to pad that. It'll be Rich Murray. Runners on the corners. Again, you just don't have what you want in the pen. Clear's used up. Mitchell is not very good against righties. He's good against lefties. So Dan Boone continues, has to gut this one out. The pitch to Rich Murray. 1-4 for the infield up is center B question mark. We can attempt to tag up with Doug Flynn. I need a 14 or better. 13, 14, 15. I got a 14 off of Dan Ford. He scores on the 12. So that is a sac fly for Murray. We get a double, a sac bunt, a walk, a sac fly. It's 5-1. Tim Raines has clearance on the runway to attempt a stolen base now. He will. And it's going to be 14. It's going to be close. 17 minus 1, 16 minus 2, 14. He is safe. My goodness. Wow. Triple A. Only a triple A is safe in that, in my rules. My goodness. Minus 2 arm catcher cannot throw him out on a 14. That is crazy. And he's at second base with 2 outs for Andre Dawson. 2-5, Dawson, double 1 and 2, base hit, and the Expos are taking over now, 6-1. Dawson's going to try a steal, and he steals on a 3, and the T rating of Blackwell is 8, so he's on third base. And they are filing for the exits here in Anaheim as the Expos are exerting their dominance late in this game. Look at all the base runners. 5 dismal innings, and then from the 6th inning on, they got to Ryan and the bullpen. Al Oliver, 67. Oh boy. Dan Boone, the sacrificial, I'll just eat these innings. That's a double to center field. That will score Andre Dawson. Still just 2 outs. We got a runner at second in a 7-1 game, and it's Larry Parrish. 69, single 1 to 7, lines out. Well, this is a nice game. I'm going to give Mr. Rogers, heck, he doesn't need time off. He'll go for the CG. Bobby Grich, 1-7's a K. Pokaroba, 3-6, that's a homer chance. Homer 1 to 13 double, 2-base hit. To Sensei, 2-4, center. And Dan Ford, 1-7, same thing he did before. Homer 1 to 14, it is gone. That's 3 earned runs in 8 2/3 innings. Hasn't his point of weakness. We'll give one more batter for the complete game, Tim Blackwell. 37 is a walk, and the Angels refuse to die. Go down quietly. So Rogers will exit in what has turned into a 7-3 game. Bill Almone's the batter. They're going to go to Dave Hamilton in the 9th. The long man with a comfortable 4-run lead needs to get a batter out. Dave Hamilton against number 9 hitter Bill Almone. Let me give you Hamilton's stats. Was with Oakland in 79, 3-4 with a 3.69 ERA, 83 innings. He was with them earlier in the decade. I think he was from the 74 A's team that won a World Series. I think he helped the A's somewhere on that. I think he got a World Series ring. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, the pitch to Bill Almone. 34 is a grounder to short, and that'll do it. So a little help from Hamilton to finish the game off. And your Expos have reclaimed home field by a score of 7-3. Steve Riders gets the win. And Nolan Ryan takes the loss. Late rallies by the Expos, strutting their stuff. And they've reclaimed home field as we prepare for Game 4 in California. And we'll give you the results of the next opportunity for a clinching moment in this League Championship Series. So stay tuned. All right, baseball fans, we're back. This is the box score of the game you just saw. The Expos pulling away in the 9th inning to win Game 3, 7-3, reclaiming home field, as we will have a couple more days in Anaheim. And this is going to be critical, as you're about to see. Game 4, are the Angels going to go away quietly into the night? No. Scott Sanderson, Mike Witt. In this one, it seems like there's going to be a lot of scoring and some pitchers getting knocked out, but it doesn't turn out that way. Baylor solo shot, 1-0. Then the Expos, Kelleher, Flynn, and Raines, triple-double-double. How about that? 2-1. The Angels, Molinaro single, Rich homer, 3-2. 6th inning, Brian Little double, a 2-base error on Molinaro. Game's tied at 3. Stays this way into the 8th. Sanderson, after putting a batter on, the Expos, they have this great bullpen they talk about. Dave Hamilton is good against righties, not so good against lefties. Doesn't matter. They only have 2 lefties. One's Molinaro and one's Flannery. They don't have any hits on their card. So he comes on in to face Bob Molinaro with a runner on. Again, Molinaro, no hits on his card. Doesn't matter. Gets a hit off the Hamilton card. Bobby Grich, also worse against lefties. Doesn't matter. Draws a walk. And then Don Baylor comes through with a grand slam home run. Ball game, 7-3. Simple as that. Angels, again, doing Angel stuff. They are like impossible to knock out of a post-game series over the last 3 years. It's unbelievable. So it's tied at 2 apiece. Expos Angels. By the way, Mike Witt, he's a starter 6. He had no problem this game. 9 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 are earned, 1 walk, no strikeouts, and a complete game for Mike Witt. Okay, let's take it to Game 5 now. In Game 5, the Angels, again, here we go. It's Bill Gullickson and Dave Frost, Game 1 starters. In this, the Expos come out blazing. Tim Raines, homer. Couple singles, a double single. They get 3 runs. Leave a couple on the bases, but they get 3 runs. Bottom half of the inning, you get double, walk, sac, fly. It's 3-1. Then in the 4th inning, Angels chip away. A walk, and then Tim Flannery, who doubled in the 2nd, a 40-48 shortstop who recorded that out and recorded that out as a 40-48 shortstop. After his double, it's an RBI triple, and it is a 3-2 game. 5th inning, fly ball to Warren Cromartie. He can't catch it. 2-base error. Then, fly ball to Warren Cromartie. He can't catch it. It's now a single, and it is a tie game. And, I mean, these Angels, they just figure out ways to just... They aren't the good analytics team, but they're the good Strat-O-Matic team for what it's worth. They tie the game at 3. Expos in the 7th. They get a double by Doug Flynn, a ground ball, and a sac fly off the pitcher's card by Andre Dawson. A little inside baseball, not a lot you can do in that case, and it's 4-3. But in the 8th inning now, Bill Gullickson, a double by Tim Flannery, 3rd extra base hit of the game for the 244 hitting utility player. Triple and 2 doubles. He would end up scoring the tie run after a Brian Downing single, and Sparky Lau comes in with his big old can of kerosene. Sparky Lau goes up a single and a double. Your California Angels win this game 6-4, and yes, the California Angels are winning the series now. 3-2. Dave Frost, another complete game. So the Angels have basically said, we're not even going to pretend we have a bullpen. We're just going to go Ryan, Frost, Witt, and Mark Clear if it gets close late. But we haven't seen Mark Clear. They haven't needed him. So they're winning these games without even using their closer. It's 6-4. Angels up 3-2, but we go back to Burlington for games 6 and 7 if necessary. Still with home field, but they're down 3-2. It's Nolan Ryan versus Steve Rogers, a rematch of the game you saw. This game is an outstanding game. We have, in the bottom of the second inning, an Al Oliver homer on his card. But in the third inning, our boy Tim Flannery lead off our 2-out triple. That's his 4th extra base hit in the last 5 at-bats, I think. Scores on a Brian Downing single. It's 1-1. 4th inning, Mr. Rogers uncharacteristically comes apart with a walk-out, walk-walk, 2-run single Doug DeCinces, 3-1. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, the California Angels are 18 outs away from going to the World Series. 3-1. 5th inning, though, it is a Brian Little double and a Mick Kelleher single. They've moved their lineup. The Expos, you notice, they've changed their lineup here. Warren Cromartie's now batting second. And they've got Brian Little, Mick Kelleher, and Doug Flynn. These guys need a nickname. I don't know. They're like, it's the same guy 3 times in a row. It's like the same player. Not much difference between these guys. They're probably all 5'9", 165, I'm guessing. All utility middle infielders of various degree of defensive prowess and so forth. But it works. A double and a single. And it is a 3-2 game. Then in the 6th inning, we get a walk by Ryan is starting to walk batters again. 2 walks to Parrish Oliver, a single by Carter to tie the game. And then it's Mick Kelleher who reaches on a Doug DeCinces error with 1 out. That could have been a double play. It turns out to be an error. A huge break for the Expos. They get a 4-3 lead. And now they're leaning on Steve Rogers because we have seen Sosa fail, walk-off or extra inning homer by Ron Jackson. We've seen Hamilton fail, grand slam Don Baylor. We just saw Sparky Lyle fail, and Rick Romo's given up a home run. So they're asking Steve Rogers, Mr. Expo, to finish this thing. It gets dicey in the 9th. A fly ball left, a grounder to short. With 2 outs, Bobby Grich doubles. Don Baylor doubles, excuse me. With 2 outs, Tim Blackwell walks. 1st and 2nd, 2 outs. Doug DeCinces grounds out to end this thing. My goodness, the Expos survive 4-3 to force a Game 7, which is where we are at now. Let's pick up game number 7. Game number 7, where we are at. It is Mike Witt, who threw a complete game, coming back on 3 days rest, versus Scott Sanderson, same thing, coming back on 3 days rest. But this time, the Expos have the early foot. In the 1st inning, Warren Cromartie, ever since they put him into the 2 spot, has gotten red hot. A double. An error by Mike Witt. A single by Parrish, a walk and a single. 3 runs, but they strand a couple. In the 2nd inning, the Expos get a single and a double. They're stranded. In the 3rd inning, another Al Oliver homer. Then they strand a single, error, and walk. That error on Tim Flannery, the 40-48 shortstop. And in the 4th inning, an Andre Dawson triple sack fly, but then Oliver and Carter reach. They're stranded. It adds up to 5 runs for the Expos, but they actually have put on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 men. They might regret all the men left on base. In any event, Mike Witt is pulled after 3 1/3, keeping his team within a grand slam, as Ross Baumgarten, their other starter pitcher who was available today, has been brought in. Meanwhile, Scott Sanderson gets through 5 innings. He gives up doubles to Dan Ford and Ron Jackson, which is basically the California offense at this point, with Grich and DeCinces really struggling. Brian Downing's been okay. Baylor's got a grand slam. But basically, we've got a 5-1 lead for your Expos. We pulled Scott Sanderson after 5 innings because we also have Rudy May. We've got Rudy May, Enrique Romo, Dave Hamilton, Sparky Lyle, and Elias Sosa, and a 4-run lead and 9 outs to get to go to the World Series for your Lake Champlain, Burlington, Montreal Expos. And that's where we're going to pick it up, folks. In the top of the 7th inning, the Angels, trailing 5-1, do they continue this legacy of road teams coming back and snatching jaws victory from the jaws of defeat. We've seen Bob Horner hit 2 home runs to knock Houston out and put Portland in the League Championship Series. We saw the Phillies destroy Cincinnati's season by burying Tom Seaver. Do the Angels have one more comeback left in them? Leading off, Doug DeCinces. 411 off Rudy May, left X. And oh boy, I forgot one more important factor, folks. The Expo outfield is a complete and total mess. Tim Raines got injured the first at-bat of the game. And then Andre Dawson just got injured in the bottom of the 6th inning. They don't have Raines. They don't have Dawson. They have moved Dan Norman into center field where he's a 4-12. And poor Al Oliver is trotting out in the left field with his creaky knees. Didn't even play left field. He's the only other outfielder employed on this team. All the bench is in use. Braun was pulled. Brian Little's in the game. Rich Murray's in the game at first. So Al Oliver's a 4-16 plus forearm, we'll say, in left field. Dan Norman's a 4-12 zero arm in center field. And you got Cromartie a 3-9 in right. That being said, we just hit a ball out Al Oliver's way. Let's see what he does with it. A 4-16 left fielder. 4-16. It's a 2-base error on Al Oliver. Tim Raines maybe catches that one. Disco Dan Ford. 2-11 is a fly ball to right. Tim Flannery. Here is the case of a guy, a red-hot guy, not today, has no hits on his card whatsoever. None. You can't, with any conscience, leave this guy in to face Rudy May. So we'll switch over to their other shortstop, Bill Almon. Let's take a look at Bill Almon. This we're in a Game 7. I haven't seen him yet. 1981, he was a White Sox at 301. His best season ever. Runner at second, 1 out. The pitch to Bill Almon. 39, he comes through with a single dot. Now you got runners in the corners with speed. You could go up and hold here for Brian Downing in a 5-1 game. The pitch to Brian Downing. 58, short X. The shortstop is still Kelleher. He's a 3-E23. Needs some defense here out of Mick. He's a 3-E23. And he gets a ground ball B with the infield up. That is huge. That guns down the runner at the plate for Downing because they brought the infield up with runners in the corners, 1 out. You have runners at first and second with 2 outs, still have a 4-run lead, and the hottest and having the best year of any Angel, Ron Jackson, stepping into the batter's box. Here's the pitch to Ron Jackson. 58, short X again, and he makes the play again. Mick Kelleher, 2 clutch plays for the Rat Pack. The Kelleher, Flynn, Brian Little combo there. They managed to succeed getting the top of the 7th inning over. Stretch time. Here in Lake Champlain again for Game 7. We are enjoying Leonard Cohen continuing his beautiful legacy here. His 69, Songs from a Room, Bird on the Wire, The Partisan, 2 best songs on this LP. My goodness. Brilliant stuff by the legendary Leonard Cohen. Bottom of the 7th, 5-1, Ross Baumgarten. He's a starter 7, so we'll call him a relief 3. We'll put him in as a breaking inning. He had a great start earlier, and aside from Mark Clear, he's their best pitcher remaining. So he will continue in the bottom of the 7th against Gary Carter. 35, Gary Carter with a double. Now you got Dan Norman, and right, left, switch, right, left, right. Do we indeed do this to Mark Clear in game? Well, it's Game 7, folks. You have to, right? Yeah, we're going to do it. Mark Clear, it's his game. That's it. Mark Clear has got to pitch 3 innings here. So Baumgarten leaves after 2 2/3. He came in, got 2 outs in the 4th, and then 2 and the 5th and 6th innings. We'll call it 8/3. He's responsible for this batter in the 7th. And Mark Clear is coming on in the 7th inning to try and see if he can get the Angels into the World Series for the 2nd year in a row. Again, Clear's numbers, 11-11, 3.31 ERA, and 106 innings in 1980. He comes on in to face a bunch of right-handed batters. There is no more bench left for the Expos. If you lose an injury, you're going to have a pitcher play defensively. So Dan Norman, because we've had Raines knocked out, Dawson knocked out, and we've already removed Steve Braun from the game. So they got 9 bodies, nobody on the bench. It's Dan Norman with a runner at second, nobody out. Here's the pitch. 110 for Dan Norman. Let's take a look at the card. Dan Norman was a New York Met in 1979. He played in baseball in 1980, hit 180, I think. This could be the biggest hit of his season, easily, for the Expos. 110 against a righty is ... and that makes this a 6-1 game. The Expos, rallying late in the series, down 3-2. Need to get 6 outs and increase their lead. Mick Kelleher's up. He's going to drop a bunt down. He's an 8 bunter. It's a good bunt. Doug Flynn with runner at second and 1 out. 3-6, grounds to short. And with 2 outs, it's back up top to Rich Murray. 65, off the clear card. It's double 1-13, fly ball the rest. He gets the fly ball the rest. Big out for Clear, keeping it a 5-run game. On double 1-13, fly ball the rest. Tough break for the Spos. It's all on them. You should be able to close out a 5-run lead with 6 outs remaining, though we have seen teams blow this. So let's just be good, Expos. You literally could get 6 outs with 6 pitchers in this case, in this situation. All right, Bob Molinaro leads off in the top of the 8th for the Angels. He also does not have a hit on his card like Tim Flannery. I mean, at a certain point, down 5, you have to think of, you can't let these guys bat under this situation. Sample and Poker River on the bench. Rudy May. Let's flash Rudy May's card up, and you'll see the reason why he was brought in. So there's Rudy May. His brilliant 1980, Rudy Mays, was a Yankee. He had pitched with the Expos and Orioles. He was 15-5 with a 2.47 ERA and 175 innings in 1980. That's why he was brought in this game after Scott Sanderson went the first 5. Because how brilliant Rudy May is. Plus he's a relief 4, so he doesn't even break until the 9th inning, theoretically. And he just dominates right-handed batters. The Angels at this point might just say, let's just roll the dice with Molinaro getting lucky off the Rudy May card. And that's what they're going to do. So Molinaro, they pinch hit for Flannery and got a hit with a pinch hitter. In this scenario, Molinaro, if you recall, got on base in that game against Dave Hamilton without a hit on his card. So he's going to swing away for the 2nd time against a left-handed pitcher. And here's the pitch to Bob Molinaro. 1-6 is a liner to first. And that is an out. Bobby Grich. 2-7 is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Don Baylor. 45, skies the center field. Rudy May's done it. 3 scoreless innings of a 6-1 game. Bottom of the 8th, it'll be Warren Cromartie leading off. 58 is a walk. Brian Little can't bunt. 58, same thing. 2 on, nobody out for Larry Parrish, who is an A bunter, which would be hilarious to do. Larry Parrish bunting with a 5-run lead and 1st and 2nd, nobody out. You only got the batting champion behind you, and Clear's bad against lefties. Larry Parrish is dropping 1 down, folks. He's an A bunter. It's a good bunt. Would have been a strikeout otherwise. 2nd and 3rd, they got to bring it up for Al Oliver. You could walk him, but it's Mark Clear. You can't let him pitch with the bases loaded. He's too vulnerable to a walk. So the infield will come up with 2nd and 3rd and 1 out and face Al Oliver. Here's the pitch. 66, is that a walk? No, it's a single to center. 1 run scores. Little will hold up. You can thank Larry Parrish for that RBI. It is now 7-1 Expos. They're starting to feel it finally. They were down 3-2 and feeling very nervous about this thing, but they seem to be feeling it here. Gary Carter. 2A for Carter. Let's show you the card. He had a double in this game. He is 2 doubles, 2 singles, and now 2-8 is double 1 to 7. Another single ... Gary Carter in a Game 7 is 5 for 5 for the Expos. You're seeing classic play by the Expo heroes. Steve Rogers in Game 6. Gary Carter in Game 7. Runners on the corners, 1 out for Dan Norman. 47's a K. And Kelleher. 46 is a K. We'll go to the 9th of an 8-1 game. Rudy May's not going anywhere. He's going to try and finish this thing. Tim Blackwell leads it off. 67 is a K. Doug Sensei's. 59, second C, and with 2 outs, Dan Ford, 38, base hit. Almone, the pinch hitter for the shortstop, got on by a single, will hit away here. He's the last chance for the California Angels in their attempt to go back to the World Series. Here's the pitch to Bill Almone. 2-6 is a K, and that'll do it. Your Burlington Montreal Expos are going to the World Series. The brilliant move, this finally paid off, of Scott Sanderson and Rudy May combining to start a Game 7 as Steve Rogers and Bill Gullickson, after a day off, they'll be the guys pitching in the early part of the World Series. I have to think one of these guys, Rogers or Gullickson, is going to get 3 starts in the World Series. I'm not sure if it can be Rogers because he just pitched yesterday. So let's check this out. We're going to take you right through the post game here. 3, 4, 5, 6. Clear went 2 innings. The Angels played their worst game in the postseason right there. Easily. That was the worst game by the Angels, who have been so hard, difficult to beat, with a roster that's not cobbled together very well, with plenty of weaknesses. But then you saw guys like the Molineros making plays and the Tim Flannerys making plays. So it finally caught up to him. The more talented Expos team that I projected to win this series in 5, it took them 7 games to win it. They did it without Tim Raines and Andre Dawson playing in the outfield in the last 3 innings. Only 1 mistake by an outfielder in that one. All right, we'll get to the box here. So Sanderson does get the win. He went those 5 innings. He gave up 1, 2, 3 hits and 1 run. He struck out 3, struck out 4, walked 1. Rudy May gave up 2 singles. Rudy May walked 2, and he struck out 1, 2, 3, 4. The error that occurred did not hurt him. Clear came on, too little, too late. Not much he could really do here, and struggled. First time he's really struggled in this postseason, but it was pretty much over by the time he came in anyway. Clear gave up, hit to Dan Norman, big hit to Dan Norman there. 1, 2, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 2 Ks. Baumgarten came on in here, faced Al Oliver. You have a hit and a walk and a K. A hit, a walk, and a K. This hit and run discharged him as well. So it's 2 hits and a run. And 3 1/3 from Mike Witt. Just did not have it today. Takes the loss. Gave up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits. And the 5 runs. Not all are earned, though. In that first inning, there was an error. We'll call that 4. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. 1009, 0108, 81315. So really, this was the first time the Expos really pulled away from the Angels the entire series in the Game 7. 1009, 0108, 813, 15, 3857, 5738. Wow, we have to name if I had to name a championship series MVP for the Expos, I don't know. It was a kind of a team effort here. Obviously, no Raines and Dawson in Game 7. Gary Carter, the monster Game 7. He also had that homer in Game 1 that it didn't win the game, but it got him on the board. So let's take a look at the year-to-date numbers. See if we can glean who it is. Maybe Steve Rogers for winning Game 6. Rudy May had a bad start to go with that fantastic relief appearance. Sanderson had an okay start with a good start there. Cromartie got hot late. Al Oliver. Parrish struggled a little bit. Carter. Al Oliver might be your series MVP. He had some big home runs. So the Expos are 26-13 on their way to the World Series, hitting .285 with a .352 team ERA. The bullpen didn't do a whole lot at all in this series, other than Rudy May, who's a starting pitcher, pitching out of the bullpen. Sosa finishes with 8 saves, but he's given up 7 runs in 18 innings. Decent bullpen, not spectacular. Steve Rogers, 8-2 on the year with 3 complete games, 34. A 315 earned run average is pretty darn good. 315. Gullickson's 5-5. Rudy May's 5-2. Scott Sanderson's 4-0. Had a win and a no decision in his 2 starts here. He's given up 22 runs in 49 innings. Offensively, you have Al Oliver with 12 homers, 57 hits in 39 games. How about the story of Al Oliver, who left Pittsburgh, left Texas, went to the Expos in 1982. They didn't ask him to play the outfield anymore or be designated hitter. They said, just go over to first base. We'll just sit you there all year. And he leads the National League in hitting. Al Oliver is hitting .365 for this team with 12 homers to lead them and 33 RBIs, one behind Gary Carter, who has 34. Gary Carter, 53 for 155. He's hitting .342. So, kind of think it might be co-MVP. Co. Did they ever do that? Co. 3? Maybe Steve Rogers, Gary Carter, and Al Oliver in a 3-way tie for MVP. I don't know how you... It's real close. But you know what? This is what you have to win a World Series. You don't really want one guy to stand out. You want a bunch of guys to help you win your games. And so that's what the Expos have done. Now the Angels, this is a 3-year run for them, but their window isn't closing yet. We do know that the California Angels go to the league championship in 1982, so we're not going to say goodbye to these guys. The Angels finished this year 22-16, 274, 356 ERA, which is excellent. Ryan is 5-4 in his final season with the Angels. Dave Frost was 6-3. Bumgarten and Witt were 6-5 combined. Mark Clear, 4 wins, 3 losses, only 2 saves for Mark Clear because we had a lot of complete games. That is a bizarre number. But I guess a lot of times there were extra inning games or the game was tied, so he inherited a win or loss. It's a lot of decisions for a closer in this format. Doug DeCinces, 10 homers, 32 RBIs. He had 40 hits. Ron Jackson, what did he end up finishing? He was 43 for 146. Try that again. 295 for Ron Jackson. Had a quiet season, but got hot in the playoffs. So that'll get you to the World Series. And so after a day off, we'll put the pitching matchups in here. We know Philadelphia's going to go with Carlton. Steve Rogers cannot pitch game 1. So it'll be Bill Gullickson. And Gullickson looks like, yeah, he's very good. 1981 Bill Gullickson is outstanding, and it will be him. It'll be up to him to go against lefty 3 times. Gullickson will get the trick. They theoretically don't have to have him pitch 3 starts, but he's an excellent pitcher, so why not? We talked about Rogers. He can come back for game 2. So Rogers would also then pitch game 6. So that means that Rudy May and Scott Sanderson would each only get 1 start. If you had Rudy May pitch game 3, he could come back in relief if it's not late in the series in game 6 or 7. So I'm going to put Rudy May in game 3. We're going to put Scott Sanderson in this game here. And that's your matchups. It'll be Expos, Phillies. It'll be Bill Gullickson versus Carlton in games 1, 4, and 7. Games 2 and 6, it's Steve Rogers, Ray Burris. They were teammates. Burris was an Expo in 1981. So teammates against each other in games 2 and 6. And then you'll have Rudy May versus Eric Schall. Oh, that's a tough lefty and a tough righty. And then you have Scott Sanderson and Dick Ruthven. They're considered starter 4s. As a starter 4, Scott Sanderson's a darn good pitcher. One of the best starter 4s in this. He easily could be a 3 or a 2. Versus Dick Ruthven, who his ERA is about 50 cents worse than Sanderson, I want to guess. So that's the World Series. It's going to be a tough one to call. After seeing the Expos struggle to finish the Angels in 7, I'm not sure how I'm going to handicap this one. Maybe I'm going to say my prediction is Philadelphia in 7. Just because they have experience and Steve Carlton 3 times. And the fact that the Expos struggled a little bit when Ross Baumgarten started and came in relief. They're not that amazing against left-handed pitchers, so that could be the deciding factor. Home field will be the Expos. The series will open up in Burlington in the American League. So it'll be Phillies Expos, games 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5 in Philadelphia, 6 and 7 back in Burlington. That's it, folks. Thanks for checking in to the American League Championship Series. Congratulations, Montreal Burlington Expos, for making it to a World Series when we know they never did get there in this era. Great news. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.